All right, let's talk about something every Android developer knows all too well, that constant battle to make your UI look absolutely pixel perfect on every single device. Well, today we're diving into a super powerful technique that can help you win that fight, screenshot testing. And we're going to compare two of the heavy hitters in this space, Google's new Compose preview testing and the community favorite, Paparazzi. Let's get right into it.
You know the feeling, right? You've spent days, maybe even weeks, crafting this beautiful screen. It looks amazing in the emulator, passes all the code reviews, you merge that PR, feeling great, and then the bug reports start trickling in. What happened? Well, the truth is, what we see on our development machine isn't always what the user actually gets on theirs.
And these are the usual suspects, the classic little bugs that slip through the cracks. A German translation that's way longer than the English one causes text to wrap and break your layout. A tiny color tweak you made ends up wrecking your dark mode. Or, my personal favorite, a 1-pixel padding shift that throws the whole screen out of alignment. These things are sneaky, and they can seriously degrade the user experience.
So here's our game plan for today. We'll start by digging into why this problem with pixels even happens. Then we'll explain screenshot testing as the solution. After that, we'll introduce our two main tools, put them head-to-head, go over some best practices, and finally, help you figure out which one is the right fit for you and your project.
Okay, first up, let's talk about the problem with pixels and why these annoying visual bugs happen in the first place.
So what can we do about it? Well, that brings us to screenshot testing, which is basically your first line of defense against these visual regressions.
So, what is this thing exactly? You know, the concept is actually really simple. The very first time you run a test for a UI component, the tool takes a picture of it. This picture is what we call a golden image, or a baseline. From that moment on, every single time the test runs, it takes a brand new snapshot and compares it, pixel for pixel, against that original golden image. The whole workflow is just a simple loop. First, you record those baseline images for all your components. Then, as you're coding and making changes, your tests are running in the background, constantly comparing the live UI to those baselines. If even a single pixel is different, the test fails, and it spits out a report that shows you exactly what changed. Now, if you meant to make that change, you just tell the tool to update the reference image and you're good to go.
So why should you invest the time in setting this up? Well, the payoff is huge. First, you catch UI bugs the moment they're created, not weeks later when QA finds them. You get super fast feedback right inside your CI pipeline. And there's a really cool side effect. Your collection of golden images becomes a form of living documentation, a visual catalog of exactly how every single component in your app is supposed to look.
Now let's get to the tools themselves. We've got two main options we're looking at today, but it helps to understand a little bit of the history to see how we got here.
You know, the early tools, like the one from Facebook, were what we call instrumentation tests. That meant they had to run on an actual device or an emulator, which, frankly, was slow and often unreliable. The really big leap forward came in 2019 with Paparazzi. It figured out how to render Android UIs directly on the JVM, no emulator needed. This was a game changer. It made the tests way, way faster. And now Google is taking that same host-side idea and building it directly into the toolchain for Jetpack Compose.
All right, time for the main event, the head-to-head comparison. We're pitting Google's official, but still experimental, Compose preview testing against Cash App's mature and community-driven Paparazzi.
First up, we have Google's solution. Its biggest selling point? It's official. It's built by the same team that builds Compose, and it's deeply integrated with the @preview annotation system that you're probably already using. Like Paparazzi, it runs on your host machine, no emulator, so it's really fast, and it gives you these nice, clean HTML reports showing you exactly what went wrong.
And in the other corner, we have the challenger, Paparazzi. This one comes from the team at Cash App, and its superpower is versatility. It can handle your modern Jetpack Compose UIs, and it can handle your good old traditional XML views. This is huge for teams that are slowly migrating a legacy codebase. It's also fully JVM-based and uses a really simple JUnit rule to get everything set up.
And this little code snippet really shows you how easy Paparazzi is to use. Right in your test file, you just define this JUnit rule. Here, we're basically just telling it, hey, render my component like it would look on a Pixel 5 and use a standard light theme. It's declarative, it's easy to read, and it just works.
Okay, so let's put it all side by side and really break it down. First, let's talk scope. Compose Preview is, well, Compose only. Paparazzi handles both Compose and XML. Right there, that could be your deciding factor. Next up, maturity. Paparazzi has been around for a while, it's battle-tested. Google's tool is still in alpha, so you might run into a few more rough edges. For setup, the Compose tool uses some experimental flags in your Gradle plugin, while Paparazzi uses that standard JUnit rule we just saw. And finally, their origin, Google versus Cash App. This kind of hints at official top-down support versus a more community-driven, grassroots development style.
All right, so whatever tool you end up picking, how do you actually use it effectively without creating a maintenance nightmare? Let's cover some best practices.
Okay, this is really important. Don't try to screenshot test everything. You'll go crazy. Focus your efforts on your most critical static UI components, your design system elements, key screens. Use parameterized tests to easily check different states, like dark mode, light mode, different languages, or font sizes. And you absolutely have to use Git LFS to manage your image files. Otherwise, your Git repository is going to become massive. And of course, the most important part, automated. Make sure these tests run on every single pull request in your CI pipeline.
So, after all that, how do you actually choose your tool? Let's get to the final verdict.
Honestly, the decision tree is pretty simple. You should choose Compose Preview if your project is 100% Jetpack Compose, and you really value having an official, tightly integrated solution from Google. On the other hand, you should choose Paparazzi if you have a mixed code base with both Compose and XML, or if you just prefer a more mature, stable, and battle-tested library right now.
At the end of the day, what screenshot testing really gives you is confidence. It transforms UI quality from this subjective thing that looks good to me into something that is visible, measurable, and totally reliable. It gives your team the freedom to refactor and improve UI code without that constant fear of accidentally breaking something.
So I'll just leave you with this question. Whether you end up picking Compose Preview or Paparazzi, just adopting this practice is a massive step forward for any Android team. It's a pretty small investment of time that pays off with huge dividends in quality and stability. So how will you ensure your UI's quality?